Jessica Zafra is a cat lady and more. I enjoyed thoroughly this discussion, dialogue with her, and got to learn more about the writer, the cat lover, but also about a person who knows how to live her life, and she chooses how to live her life. I hope you enjoy this podcast, as it is really a reflection of all the cat ladies in one lady. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Magandang hapon mga kabiyaya. Nandito po kami ngayon sa Biyaya Animal Care, Rockwell Branch. Nandito kami in a very important afternoon talking all things cats. We are here with cat lady Jessica Zafra.
Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
So Jessica, we first met in a very, how should I say, the universe conspired kind of way.
Yes.
I normally don't check messages.
Oh.
And Sprout, my cat, who crossed over 3 weeks ago, I was on my iPad and she stepped on a keyboard and I saw your message.
Wow. So the cats have
The cat, yes. They were
ensured
like,
that you would.
yeah.
Oh.
And so I saw your message because you sent it to the BI Animal Care
Yes,
IG account,
yes.
not my personal. So I really didn't see it. And thanks to Sprout, wherever you are, Sprout, look what you created.
Thank you, Sprout. No, because I know that BI has been helping Cats of BGC, where I volunteer to, reconnoiter the cats on my walks. And several months ago, I was walking home when I saw this cat on the street that obviously needed help. And I would have picked him up, but I don't want to take him home to my cats, him or her home to my cats, because I have senior cats, parang I don't want infection or anything. And I didn't know who else to message. So I tried, parang let's see if it works. I tried to message the Instagram account of Biaya, and you replied. It's amazing.
Yes. And
Thank you, Sprout. Yes.
and you named her
Jorah.
Jorah from
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Yes, because she had some sort of skin problem where she looked like she was turning into stone.
Yes.
And in Game of Thrones, there's the stone men. They become covered by this substance. And I asked readers, what do you want to name her? And there were other suggestions. But when somebody said Jorah, that's Jorah's it.
Jorah's it.
Jorah won by a wide margin.
So here we are. Thank you, Sprout. And so tell us about your cat journey.
I've always loved cats, but when I was a child, my parents didn't allow me to have pets, claiming allergies, etc., etc. Although, I've become suspicious now of people who say, I can't have cats, I have allergies. For the most part, that is not true. But anyway, I feel that if my parents had allowed me to rescue cats and adopt them, I might have become a nicer person. but there, I rescued and adopted my first cat in 1999. I was already living alone, and one day on my way home from the office, I was working in a newspaper. I saw this ginger cat rolling in a patch of sunlight in front of me, and we made eye contact. And I don't know, I was just hypnotized. I said, "Yes, I must bring you home." So, the guard said, "Oh, here's a plastic bag." So I put her in a plastic bag and carried her home. And from that time on, she was always drawn to plastic bags. Like if I bring home something in a plastic bag, this was before, the no plastic rules were in effect. She would enter the plastic bag. Anyway, so that was my first cat, and I knew nothing about taking care of cats indoors. So I did not know that there existed something called litter. So, and this was 99. So there were very few available kinds of litter on the market. And, litter boxes were so expensive and so on. So um, I learned. And then the following year, I adopted another cat. And then
And
another
wala
cat.
pang
Yeah.
internet, so you can't Google things.
Yes. So it was mostly, asking friends who had cats. And the thing is, although, so I had a learning curve, but I realize now that if I had known then what I know now, I would have, done certain things that would have helped my cats live longer. Although, median age 15 years, not bad for, for indoor
Not
cats.
at all,
But I
yeah.
feel that, if I had practiced better cat care, they would be 30.
Do you think possible?
Why not? I was just reading that
Is-
in
what's the-
Japan,
Oh.
they have some scientists have found a way to because kidney problems are a common issue in
Correct.
cats. So something that will solve the kidney issue. So indoor cats can live up to age 30. So I don't know.
Oh, my
But
son's...
then that creates a new set of
yes.
of issues for volunteers like us. 'Cause,
Yeah, yeah. No, my son lives in Japan. I'm gonna ask him. Yeah, yeah. No, it's So what do you think is a confirmed cat lady? How would you confirm yourself as a cat lady?
Well,
There's
in my
stereotypes.
case,
huh?
yes. It's not yet the pathological one. In the States, they're always raiding some house because it stinks up the whole neighborhood, and then they go in and there are 200 ill-fed cats who are sick or going blind. Not yet that.
Not
As
yet
in,
that.
in my house, I only have 2 cats because I live in an apartment. I don't want them to feel crowded or anything. But my kind of cat lady is when I go out, I always carry a bag of kibble because I cannot bear to be sitting in a cafe and then a cat comes up to me with big eyes, and I feel bad if I can't give the cat something. So I carry a bag of kibble or churu.
So, I always profess that animal welfare is human welfare.
Yes.
Animal compassion is human compassion.
Yes.
Your story is about compassion. And how have they taught you, aside from feeding? What exercises, what practices of the heart, exercises of the heart have they given you to expand these muscles?
I remember maybe 20 years ago, there was a campaign, Animals Make Us Human, and I find that true because, cats and dogs too, because I used to be terrified of dogs until I started rescuing cats, and now I love dogs almost as much as I love cats, because the cats will not approve of competition. But they're caring about something outside yourself, and the rewards are are just psychological. You're not going to make money off it. You're not going to get famous or anything. But I find that having something to take care of outside of myself, it has advantages to me because it grounds me. As in, I'd probably be staying out until 5 a.m. if I didn't have cats to worry about. But thinking of the welfare of beings who cannot do it for themselves because they're highly equipped after millions of years of evolution, but this is an entirely different society they're living in which they do not have the voice that people have. So I find that somebody has to speak up for the cats.
I totally agree. And I also totally agree that when you know better, you can do better.
Yes.
And so right now, that's what we're trying to espouse in the Senate with the new bill. Trying to introduce trap, neuter, vaccinate, return. In other places, they call it catch, neuter, vaccinate, return. Whatever the catchphrase is, it's just that they have their rights to live on this
Yes.
bouncing ball that we all live in.
Yes. And I remember I remember sending you a message on Instagram once because I was despairing because periodically we hear of um, homeowners associations or
Yes.
tenants associations in condos who decide that the cats in the building must be rounded up and taken to the pound, or they and then they say now, oh no, we're just going to to do a little pest control. But pest control really means they're going to hire an exterminator to take them away and kill them. Okay, and that's terrible. And usually we address this by working up a little public outrage. That's what social media is good at. But you can't do public outrage every 2 days. It becomes
Well,
less
this
and
is
less
effective.
effective. Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe it makes people dig their heels in the ground.
Yes.
And I do believe though that there are moments when you need to heighten that awareness, but in a proper way, where you still leave a wiggle room for the other party to come forward. Talking about that, just recently in a homeowners association in BGC, something happened like that. And I called the city veterinarian, and he himself said, no, he didn't allow the pest control company to do that. And so I said, would you mind if I wrote a letter CCing you, the city, and the homeowners association, and the pest control? Because their mandate is not to collect or catch animals.
And also, it's against the law.
It's against the law. And I promise you, I think they just probably saw, white woman, we better shut up. I literally took one of their traps, and those traps were heavy. As in, when the door goes down, if a tail or a paw is out of place, off it comes. So I was like, no, you're not allowed to have these. And this is inhumane. So, yeah, I say white woman because, they kind of froze.
I'm glad you recognize this because if one has privilege, one should use it.
I don't like to
something good.
consider myself with privilege, but, sometimes you have to know when
Yes.
when to slam the brakes and when to hit the gas pedal.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, show me your permit.
Yeah, we have to be pragmatic about these things
Super.
because we can't all be nice. No, we don't want to offend them. But meanwhile, cats are being
Yeah, no, so I told them first,
exterminated.
show me your permit. Where does it say it's against RA 8485? Do you know which section? Do you know what? Oh, we're just hired. I said, okay, let me talk to your boss. Let me, and the conversation is nice, but it's on a little bit of an aggressive mode. And I could do that because I had the backing of the city veterinary office. And more I find city veterinary offices are switching the mode.
They're becoming more amenable because I think they recognize that we are many and we're not even organized yet.
Yes.
But those of us who care for stray cats and dogs, once we get organized, we're going to be a political force to reckon with.
I think so, and rightfully so. We're not gonna be rabid, but we're definitely gonna change things. Why? The world always changes. Science always changes. You must adapt to better practices.
Yes.
This for me is a must. And if you cannot, for whatever reason, then stay behind. Don't hold us back.
Yeah.
Don't stand in our way and don't hold us back, because better practices means better for everyone involved.
Yes.
Humans and animals, cats and dogs, etc.
Yeah, and I have to say that some progress was made during the pandemic, during
Yes.
lockdown. Terrible as the pandemic was, there were some improvements. Like, people used to feed cats leftovers. Whatever you have at home, you go out and you give them to the stray cats. But I noticed, because I started taking long walks during lockdown just to stay sane while we were indoors, I noticed that people started leaving cat food, as in kibble, instead of leftovers. So, there wouldn't be flies, there wouldn't be a mess, people would complain less. and more people are volunteering to be cat feeders or donating to cat related causes, and I find that good. I think that that really accelerated in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah. I also feel that w- going back to what you're saying, what we were talking about, compassion, your connection to the cats. I think humans, I always say, are hardwired for connection. For the time when we sat in front of the campfire in a cave where we had companions, not only humans, but we were with our animals as well. And that is like an imprint in our soul, in our DNA, I would even argue. So that kind of respect, I think, was developed. But it's sometimes now we have so many animal cruelty cases coming up. More and more, I feel it's going backwards, and I think part of it is mental issues. I'll give you one example, which Claire and Michelle of Cats of BGC know. There's somebody in BGC who is torturing tucks cats. Yes, I can show you the video. It's horrible, which is eventually we brought it up to the PNP, and we're putting.
As in, they torture cats and then they take video of themselves.
No,
torturing the cats?
no. They
were
just
caught.
torch. Yeah. We found the cats with a nail here, with bound legs.
That's a
Psychological
problem.
problem. And then within the same area, we also found we were able to rescue a dog that was lit on fire within, like, I don't know, 100-meter radius. So there's somebody, and that's why I brought it up to the police, because I said it escalates.
Yeah.
It escalates. It starts with the smaller vulnerable, and then the smaller vulnerable
I know
human.
it's become a cliche in serial killer TV series, but it is true that a child that takes pleasure in torturing small animals will likely escalate.
Yes,
its
which is why
habits.
I decided I have a case that I filed in San Pedro, Laguna, for Justice, the dog that was bludgeoned almost to death because the claim was she bit the children, but the children were trying to get her newborn. She had just given birth. So we were able to save Justice. She's broken, both mandibles broken. We saved all the puppies. She's with us now, but mostly because a 13-year-old took part in it, and they had golf clubs, and they had a silo, which makes me think it's more than just what cruelty, right? And 8 children as witnesses, and 10 to 11 adults watching, doing nothing. That's 2, Tanod, 17-year-old boy, and a 13-year-old boy. And if you saw how the 13-year-old boy was hitting her, it was incredible. So much so that in our account in Facebook, so many comments that this guy will be one day a killer. And that's what made me think I have to file the case, because DSWD or CSWD has to come in.
Yeah, so you're helping the dog, but meanwhile, is there no therapy in place, or
There is no therapy
psychological
there is no therapy in
examination?
place for now. That's why we had to call in
For the
CSWD.
torturers?
Yes. We called CSWD for the 17-year-old and 13-year-old. And for the adult, there's
for the
jail.
adults, I don't know if there's any help for them, but
No.
the kids might.
No,
be-
yeah. So, and we have to, because then, and now nobody wants to stand witness. Yes. And so I filed the case just because the video went viral, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I'm getting the answer before the 15th. But I'm putting this as as a kind of like what's happening in our society now. I feel there's less and less respect for life, whether it's a tree, a plant, the environment. animals, humans.
There's less and less respect for life and more value placed on becoming viral.
Yes,
As in,
absolutely.
people want attention and will court it any way they can.
Including, I'm sorry, some of the people who post. Because they'll post, but they won't stand trial.
Yes.
They won't be witness. So I said, I'm pushing through with this because if the prosecutor decides to push through, it'll be Philippines, people of the Philippines against. It won't be me. And so those people will be subpoenaed.
Yeah.
And it's up to them not to go or to go, right? So I'm saying this because there's another case that's coming up. And, we can't just be armchair or keyboard.
Exactly. As in, we can't just work up a little social media outrage
Yeah.
and think our responsibility is done.
Yeah. And going back to our cat thing, I was going to share with you, I think you would like it. Sir Katapang is the Bucor head. And he made a statement that he was going to remove all animals from all the facilities. And
Yeah, I've read about that.
yeah, and I was able to get my foot in
Thank
the
you
door.
for that.
And
Yes.
we're at, we've done maybe 200 so far, and we're at 350 more to go.
Yes, and when I was reading that report and what you had done there, I remember reading all these reports of how, in the American prison system, prisoners are allowed to take care of strays, and it really helps them recover whatever humanity is there.
Because of this connection,
Yes.
compassion that we're
Yes.
talking about.
Which reminds me that, you go to the US and other countries, there should be no homeless people, but there are. And yet, the animals with these homeless people are the most beautiful, well cared for animals that you see anywhere.
Absolutely.
And they have nothing, but they share it with their companions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, this is, I totally agree. In fact, when we were there was a part kasi that there were also some dogs. And it's harder to do TNVR with dogs.
Yeah.
So we decided to go there. And we did the kapon there for the dogs. And it was incredible because Sir Boncales, the superintendent, came and he said, Ma'am, salamat ha. And I said, sabi niya, malaking tulong po to kasi yung mga walang bisita.
Yes.
So, we still have to be humane to our humans as well,
Yes.
quote unquote.
You have to remind them that they're still capable of caring about something.
I think that's beautiful. You have to remind them that they're still capable.
Yeah,
Of-
that a living thing can still depend on them to care for it.
Yeah. I don't I don't know how to say this. They really make us human, as you were
Yeah.
saying earlier. They remind us of who we were,
Yeah, our better selves.
our better selves. They're capable of that.
Yeah.
They do switches. So you have two cats. What are their names?
I have two cats. The 12-year-old is named Drogon because clearly I adopted him when Game of Thrones was big.
I have
before
only watched
everybody
one
came to
movie.
hate it.
I only watched one
Okay.
episode.
Yes, and then I have a 4.5-year-old named Goose, who's from the family of cats that has always lived in my building, and I take care of those cats, and some of them get promoted to indoor cats.
Oh, there's a graduation.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like, Drogon's companion Jacob died. I'm like, okay, Drogon cannot stand to be alone. So we're promoting Goose to become an indoor cat now. So,
And who chooses? They choose you or you choose them?
yeah, that's interesting because even before Jacob fell ill, I live on an upper floor, and Goose from the ground floor started hanging out on my welcome mat in the upper floor. It's like,
It would go up?
yeah. And and whenever I opened the door, he wouldn't run in, but he would look inside na parang, ooh, this is a nice life. And so I'm like, congratulations.
You came to the right place.
Yes, you're moving in. Because there are several other cats that I could have adopted, but Goose was the proactive one who went to my house.
Isn't that something about life?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, Drogon, who was 12, he literally ran into my house one day. I just opened the door. He was not from the clouder that lived downstairs. He was completely, as the guards called, say, Dayo. As in, he had
Yeah.
he had just appeared from out of nowhere. I opened the door. He runs inside and quickly took possession of the house. As in, he saw the litter box. Na, ooh, litter box. So,
Wow. Wow.
so I have to say that my two cats, especially, they adopted me.
I feel that way too. And I
Yeah.
feel blessed and graced by their energy and their presence.
Yes, because I like being alone because I write, and writing is a very solitary activity. But at the same time, it's lonely being alone. You feel that there's no one around to even speak to, and me pa naman, I'm matatakutin, I'm imaginative na para
Oh,
bang,
okay.
mumu, ganon. But ever
cute.
since I started living with cats, I figure, well, you guys, you have the ability to see the invisible. So I leave it to you to negotiate with whatever mumu are living here, and I am no longer afraid.
Okay. So we have a sanctuary in Baguio.
Yeah.
Okay. And my bantay would not go into it's a rather it's a big place, big piece of property with smaller houses.
Yeah.
And there are two townhouses, right, that share a wall. And my bantay lived in the ground floor of that house. And he swore that there was mumus. Okay? Swore.
And the thing is, I know it's illogical. I know it is. It does not exist. But still, my brain will not shut up about it.
Okay. So I said, I'm going to put some cats in here. So I don't know if you know Cats of Legazpi Village. Carmine is my good friend.
Yes.
So I said, Carmine, I know you need to get a few cats out of a building that they're going to demolish or something like that, or construction or something. I said, give me those cats. I said, and we'll bring them up. And she called them the Ghostbusters. Okay. So, Kid was a white cat. And we go inside the townhouse, open the carrier, and she goes ballistic. Hair up, chasing some invisible thing. Like that. And then she goes into the chimney, up the chute. She comes back down completely gray.
Yeah.
And I was like,
What was that?
what was that? What did she chase? Right? And ever since then, Bantay doesn't say anything anymore. We put 9
Interesting.
cats in there. And that's why Carmine calls them the Ghostbusters. Yeah, no, cats are also associated with witches.
Yes.
For example,
Especially tricolored cats.
yes. And what's also interesting is that historically, cats are known to be attached to women more than dogs.
Yes.
Because they were the homemakers, they who stayed with the children.
Yeah, because, di ba, cats attach themselves to humans because humans have granaries and storehouses of grain, and those have rodents.
Yes.
So the cats say, if I stick with the people, I will always have something to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that I kind of saw that history because I always say I'm not into adopt, don't shop. I'm into adopt. I also am not into aspin, puspin only because I believe certain breeds are cultural heritage, right? And they, especially dogs, were bred for specific purposes.
Yes.
And they help the evolution of man.
Yes, and as you noted, maybe dogs are more attached to men because, they were initially um, adopted for hunting
Hunting, pastoral,
or
herding,
guard dogs.
guard
Yeah.
dogs, etc. So, when I look at that, and with the cats naman, some are really designer bred. I mean, like humans intervened in the thing. But there are like, in each part of the world, there's a kind of cat. And that's why the cats are named Siberian and what's this? Bengal.
Yeah,
They're
or-
named after
or
the place.
The Turkish vans that go swimming, which is so weird. Why
Yeah.
are these cats swimming? But they do swim.
Yeah, so I feel a cat is a cat, a dog is a dog. There should be no discrimination either way. It's just that I know we're trying to prop up our aspin and our puspin, and I respect that. But let it not now be a reverse discrimination.
Yeah. Let's not have apartheid.
Yes,
Let's
parang-
not spread apartheid to all species.
Oh, diba?
Although I do have issues with cats that are so bred,
No,
they
that one-
discover certain,
Yeah.
they develop certain features that
Yeah.
make them more prone to disease,
Yeah.
or they
No,
can't
well,
even
that is
close
complete.
their eyes.
So I set my limit there. That's why I said designer cats.
Yeah.
Where humans intervened in the breed.
Yeah.
That talaga ayoko. Because like even the dogs, the brachycephalic, the very
Yes.
flat nose, they have terrible issues, health issues, because man interfered
Yeah.
in their looking a certain way for show, no longer purpose bred, right? So I also find it very interesting that certain religions are attached to certain animals.
Yes.
And the Muslims are very attached to the cats.
Yes, that there's the old story that a cat was sleeping on the sleeve of Muhammad,
Yes.
and he didn't want to wake the cat, so he cut off his sleeve. But there, yeah, in places like Turkey especially, which is like a cat capital, although they also have their problems because this they've become known the world over as the place where cats are loved, and in fact, the cats need more care than is
Yeah.
given to them.
Are they spayed and neutered? Would you know?
I think it depends on the communities. Although I do remember that they actually had these like vendo machines where if you put your empty water bottles,
Recycle.
It
Pays you
it
in.
gives you kibble
Yeah, yeah.
for the cats.
I'll look for my book, and I'll give you a copy. It's The Secret Life of Cats or something like that. And in Italy, it's huge. They're known as these cat mamas that are all dressed to the nines.
Gatara.
Yes.
Like Anna Magnani.
Yes, and it's so interesting. And then you have people who want to look like cats and have their plastic
Oh,
surgery.
that is weird.
But you've seen that.
You want to do it, fine, it's your face. But I also learned, something interesting that in Italy, cats are protected. So
Yes.
anybody who hurts a cat, whether it be a cat with a human owner or a stray cat, jail for you.
Yes.
Yes, because, it makes sense because the Roman Empire falls and who takes over? Cats.
Yeah.
So as in, the Colosseum was in ruins, who lived there? Cats.
Cats,
Yeah.
diba? Who kept things in order.
Yes.
It's incredible because I think, Luis, aren't you a cat mama? Are you cat or it's more your brother, Lawrence? Both of these are cat boys. They're cat boys. And I remember his brother crying for 2 days, 3 days, looking for the cat.
No.
1 week, 1 week crying. And he works for us as well, Lawrence. And oh my God. And then finally his father sends me a video laughing. He said, look, he's crying now of happiness because he found the cat.
No, but that is really one of the most stressful things. So if an indoor cat
yes.
runs off and you spend weeks walking around the neighborhood calling the cat, shaking the kibble jar, carrying their toys.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's really, it's like you've lost a part of yourself, and the helplessness and the hopelessness is too real.
Yeah, and I thought that microchipping would help, but no, because I read all of these reports of Western countries where people can afford to microchip, and um, police have microchip readers, but it's still not
You know, there's
as
a company.
widespread as it should be.
Yeah, there's a company called Ponek.
Okay.
They have a neck collar that has what do you call that?
A tracker.
QR code. There's
Okay.
also a tracker, but there's also a QR code, and any smartphone can read it,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
and then it sends it to a website if you're losing your cat, and that
And if you're
website
registered there,
and
yes.
registered, and it alerts you.
That is a good idea.
Ponek.
Yeah, because I was already thinking, AirTags are so expensive. Should we get Apple AirTags for every cat? But that would be a good alternative.
Yeah. It's tricky. We've been in a situation where community cat people caught some cats, and we of course capon them, and there was one particular cat that we couldn't
A
find.
runaway?
It was already capon, but with no ear notch,
Oh,
and
oh,
it
oh.
belonged to someone.
Oh.
And so when the community brought back the cat, the girl hit the roof and bashed us online. And we're like, but we're just the thing. And if it has no ear notch, so she was so that we didn't know what we're doing. But it's crazy, because if you let your cat roam free and it has no ear notch, and people are doing their job.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the first things I learned that, so my very first cat, Kusi, in 1999, I learned that, she has to be spayed.
Yeah.
Because then, she was a kitten when I adopted her. And then she went into heat. And I'm like, she's going crazy. She's
Yeah.
trying to run out of the house. And then somebody explained, you have to have her spayed. So I had her spayed. And that really made living indoors so much more so much more comfortable for her, because I was under the impression that I could have a free roaming cat, but more and more it's not it's not possible given the way we live. There are all these cars, there's so much danger. So indoor cats really have to be kept indoors. And my fantasy of having a cat na I go out to work and the cat also goes out, and then I go home and the cat goes home, that's not gonna happen.
No, it's not. And even in like places like the US, because my friends are there are coyotes in kasi in certain areas.
Right.
So they're prey.
Yeah, and another thing is in places like Australia, New Zealand, diba, they've tracked because cats are alpha predators. And so they cannot help it. They'll see little animals, birds. Of course, they're going to go and kill them.
Yes.
And not even for food. They'll kill them because, hey,
For
we're
fun.
predators.
Yes, for fun.
But there, if you don't want a huge impact on the bird population,
Bird, and I think lizard also in Australia.
yeah, and and it's hard to explain to the cat. No, lizards are our friends. They will still see it now. Well, lizard.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's eye candy to them.
Yeah.
It's like, what are the characteristics of your cat where you really say, oh, they are their own, they have their own soul. They have
They have, well, for one thing, they have very distinct personalities. As in, my cats are quite affectionate, but on their own terms. Like if they come up to you and they want to huddle, fine. But you can't just grab them and say, I want a hug. No, And Drogon especially, he seems to he thinks in an almost human way. Like if I do something he disapproves of, like I just took him to the vet because he had to have some teeth extracted. He had bad teeth.
I saw.
Yeah. And
Yes.
so when we get home, I could tell that he was plotting revenge. And how do I know this? Because, I write, so I have plenty of notebooks. I have a stack of notebooks because I write by hand. And he starts making barfing noises and going near the stack of notebooks. The message is, I'm
Walang
going to
hiya.
barf on all these books. And he does that all the time. In fact, I had an earlier cat, Safi, who lived to be almost 19. She could always tell, she was jealous of specific books. Like if I spend too much time with a book, I guess I have my scent on it. She will rip the cover. Because they have
Walang hiya.
dust jackets.
Yeah.
And I have a collection of torn dust jackets because Safi was jealous of
Safi's
those books.
books.
Yes.
Incredible. Mine.
Or she would pee on them. As in, and she was spayed, so she was not given to peeing indoors. But she would revenge pee on them.
If I'm out like more than normal, like the whole day, and I come back at like say 11 o'clock at night, the next day, my cat pees on my clothes.
Yeah, they
so
do
I
that.
so I need to put my clothes inside the closet. I can't leave it in the basket.
Although, dogs also do that. I hear that, if you've been gone for a long time, your dog feels neglected. Your dog is going to find your favorite pair of shoes and poop in them.
Incredible. It's funny. You've never had a dog?
No.
No? Yeah, we have both. And
Because I don't have a yard. And it would
okay.
be cruel to keep a dog in
yeah,
an
so we
apartment.
have both. And I always find it so funny because there are certain cats that have the personality and no dog's gonna mess with them. It's incredible. I'm just like shocked at how something so small and a bigger, big sized aspen. It's like, he's like, and she's just looking at him. And the tail is, it's incredible. That tail, it tells you their whole story.
Yeah, I've seen that happen because on Bonifacio High Street, where it became very fashionable to bring your dog, although they're leashed, we were dining outdoors when, there was this dog on a leash, and one of the community cats started taunting the dog, like, walking back and forth in front of the dog, making as if to scratch the dog, basically just tormenting the dog psychologically.
Oh, so you mentioned you spend a lot of time alone.
Yes.
How does that feel?
Well, I'm comfortable with it. I've always been kind of a solitary creature, lone wolf, whatever. And because I need, if you want to write, you can't be that sociable. Because when are you going to actually sit down and put the words on paper? And well, at least the way I practice it, writing requires long stretches of doing nothing and also being alone.
So
it's
doing
kind
nothing.
of a lonely life, but then it has its rewards. As in, I love it because the huge financial rewards I am still waiting for.
It'll come. No, but long stretches of being alone, writing or being alone doing everything and nothing, loans.
No, I already have a formula. As in, it takes 4 hours of doing nothing to get 1 hour of good writing done. As in, by doing nothing, I mean, I don't mean just sitting and staring into space. No, as in doing the groceries, doing the dishes, taking out the laundry, whatever. So let's make that 4 hours of chores equals 1 hour of writing.
With or without
because that's
coffee?
when you're thinking.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, and actually, even if you're not consciously thinking, your brain is working things out.
No,
Yeah.
and that's why I always say I do my own laundry, I do my own dishes, as in, because that's my method.
Yeah.
That's my meditation in motion.
Yes.
And I'm processing something,
Right. Yeah, so that
but
when
I
you-
don't know what I'm processing.
Yeah, so that when you sit down, the words come easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
it takes 4 hours of doing something not writing related for that.
Wow. So a book must take a long time.
Not really because
But your books are short.
also the Twisted series.
Yes.
I didn't sit down and write them from beginning to end. Those were written 3 times a week for several years and then collected You know, the
Okay.
ones that I can bear to see again because, face it, I had deadlines 3 times a week. So most of them don't even show them to me today because I don't know how they got published. But the ones that I can bear to reread, they were compiled and collected into books.
If cats were your editor, what would they be?
Oh, they would be very tough critics.
Don't you think?
Yes.
Worse than your real editor.
Yes, because I have to say that some of my editors are like, the fear of an empty space was really what motivated them. Instead of keeping a consistently good quality. So I will admit that I wrote a lot of columns on the fly. Just because my deadline is 2 minutes away. So
Who's your favorite writer?
too many to name.
Poetry?
I read poetry, but I don't dare write it. It's a whole different discipline. For instance, all my life, I really wanted to write fiction, short stories, and novels. But then, so I joined the workforce. In order to support myself, I know that I cannot live on writing short stories and fiction, especially not in the Philippines. We're not
Yeah.
very literary.
Not at
reading
all.
place.
They don't even read Facebook posts properly.
As in sidebar, those Facebook posts where I'm not even on Facebook, but my friends, complain like, they say, oh, we're looking for someone who can do this, and then the first 10 comments will be what qualifications.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Okay, back to you.
Reading
What
comprehension, but back to it. So I always wanted to write fiction, but I needed to make a living. So I found out that writing essays was more likely to pay the rent and buy cat food. So I was doing that,
And buy cat
and
food.
I did that for a long time. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm growing old, and I don't have a novel yet. And then so I quit writing columns altogether, and I found that I had to retrain myself. Because a column is only 1,000 words. And so my brain got used to stopping automatically at 1,000 words. Parang and then stop. But with a novel, you need momentum. Like you sit down and then you write it, and not everything you write in the course of, say, a 4-hour workday will be good. You come up with maybe 2 pages that are usable. So, you have to do this every single day and work up the momentum. And I used to have this fantasy that I could write a column and write a novel, but no, because I'll be working on my novel, and then I hit the sweet spot. I already have my momentum, and then oops, deadline. I have to stop and write my column, and then I have to start on the novel again, and then work up the momentum, and then when it's going well, stop again, write my column. So I realized one of them has to go, and columns, I'd been doing that for 20 years, so I could say goodbye, since novels and short stories were what I really wanted to write.
Yeah. I read something about Joan Didion, and she really sat on her desk at a particular time and didn't
Yeah.
leave it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, some writers are like that, where they have to work between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m., and then the rest of the day is theirs. And then, you have people like Stephen King, who is just a pabrika.
Yeah,
As in,
exactly.
I think he writes a book every week or something. I hate him.
Yeah. I have a book of his about writing.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a book about his about writing. It's
And of course, he writes books with cats, with dogs, with cats that come back from the grave, with killer dogs, etc., etc.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. What's her name? I forget this poetry is my pharmacy. So when I'm feeling good, feeling bad, I head towards poetry, and poetry and children's books.
Because poetry is a different language. A lot of it is symbolic. And, in essay, I'm basically saying things as they are. In novels, I'm kind of saying without saying. And in poetry, you have to express it in visual equivalents, in symbols, where you're not saying it outright, but people can feel it.
Yeah.
Poetry, I find, is a more directly emotional form.
Totally. It's a Mary Oliver,
Yes.
Naomi. I call it pharmacy because really, I decide who to read at a certain moment before sleeping, in the middle of the day. I have on my phone
Ah,
stuff, right? And it's my drug. It's really, really my drug. I think you would be a great poet. But anyway, one
well,
day.
since I had to retrain from writing essays to writing fiction, and it finally worked, so maybe after I've written a few more novels, I shall retrain again and try to write
No,
poetry.
I think it's something the awareness. I think you have it in writing for sure, but I think
so.
yeah, but I think there's this how do you say this? You can, I think, write poetry in an essay. Somehow I don't know. You know, there's this writer called Krista Tippett, and incredible how she writes. It's like you have to stop every paragraph because it's like, okay, read, go back, because it's like poetry, right? So maybe that's not so effective, but it precise language is beautiful that way, just as much as vague language is, because it leaves you your own thinking. Depends on what you want to achieve. It's like your cats. Isn't it like your cats? Sometimes they tell you exactly what they want, and sometimes they're like, figure it out.
Right.
Figure it out.
Although I have to say, there's this misconception that Filipinos don't read. No, Filipinos do read. Going back to what we said about,
Yes.
they do read Facebook, wala lang reading comprehension. But, what's this? Filipinos do buy in great quantities romance novels. The ones that begin their lives as Wattpad novels. And then, they get millions of views, and then they are
didn't
printed.
know this.
And, if you go to book fairs and, the Wattpad authors arrive, it's like there's an earthquake in the venue because, people are stomping their feet. There's like, our idol is coming. Whatever. So,
Yeah. Can you call and ask them to bring the book? Yung mga walang pangalan, yung mga nandyan pero walang pangalan. Tell them to grab it here. I don't think we have copies, so we can give her one. Yeah, from Mandala. Have you seen that?
yes, from your Instagram feed.
I'm gonna send it. Tell them to speed it up. Bring it over. Okay. That Archie Oklos. It's incredible. I'm asking him to do a mural in Mandala. It's too expensive, so we'll have to cut it a bit. But he really lives with cats, right? He and his partner. And he told me, I think he had to write that book twice. As in, he wrote it, tore it into pieces, wrote it, tore it into
Yes,
pieces.
sometimes you have to do that. Yeah.
And it's just one or two words, going back to
Yeah.
the precise.
yes.
And that's my frustration, and I'm doing online classes for Tagalog because I appreciate language. I appreciate words. I also appreciate no words, pauses, say a lot just as much as words.
But the advice from a writer that I have really taken to heart is by one of my favorite authors, this British author Graham Greene, who wrote Armand in Havana.
Yes.
He said, if you write 1,000 words a day, then the books will take care of themselves. So I read that quote in college, and so I trained myself to write 1,000 words a day. Anyway, the 1,000 words includes your journal,
anything.
your articles, yeah. And so basically, it's like, because I also love tennis, it's like training in tennis where you serve 1,000 times a day, so that when you're in center court in Wimbledon, you're not thinking your
Muscle
muscle
memory
memory is doing
na.
it. So it's something like that. And then so I trained myself to write a certain number of words every day. Of course, many years after that, I learned that the correct quote was, if you write 500 words a day.
So you overdid it.
So I can take vacations because, I have gone over the quota. Yeah, so-
No,
but writing it just comes with constant practice.
practice.
Yeah.
Like most things.
Yes.
Like most things.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that thing about the 10,000 hours, yeah, there's something to that.
so does compassion. So
Yeah.
does empathy. And
Yeah, you work on it.
And it's infectious. It can be. That's why I always say, let it be as infectious as COVID. You know, this kindness, this generosity, this courage.
But earlier we talked about how lockdown sort of there was this speeded up the animal welfare
Correct.
cause. I have to say that lockdown gave us the quiet
The
in order
pause.
the pause in order to think about ourselves, and that's how a lot of us realized I have had anxiety since childhood because we've never really stopped to think of how our minds work, and then we realize, oh, this is something that I do to myself, that I never had the quiet or the time to appreciate until this happened and the whole world stopped.
I'm a testament to that because I've been rescuing and doing TNVR forever, for a long time. And rescuing more than TNVR. TNVR is a rather novel thing for me. Novel as in the last 5-6 years. But I've been rescuing since 5. So it was during the pandemic. My husband told me, why don't you stop fooling yourself? Fooling myself? What do you mean? And he says, you gotta quit your day job, the yoga. I was like, why? Because this is what you love. Why do you need to give yourself permission? Just do it.
The husband is wise.
Much wiser than me. He don't need no yoga. But, so I stopped and he goes, Rina, you've been doing this as a child. This is all you ever wanted, but you needed to be taking a profession. You needed to do something because during our time, there were no
programmed.
We were programmed, right?
Now you have to have a job, you have to wear a certain thing to work.
And it was like, why don't you just do it? Because we had friends crossing over, and because of the quiet, you have this pause, this time to think, this the word time in Greek is, there's 2 words, it's kairos and chronos. So chronos is chronological time, one after the other, and kairos is deep time. So, like the poetry, eternity in a moment, And in that deep moment, you don't go not only deep, but you go vast and broad. And you're like, you have time to recount, well, what does matter to you? And you have the courage to do it. Now, I'm discerning between brave and courage, because brave, you know exactly what you're getting into. Courage, you don't. You just do it, right? And it's because I didn't know any better. Earlier, you said, had I known better, maybe I would let my... And in my life, it's, had I known better, maybe I wouldn't have gotten into it. It was pure, just dumb luck. But so I decided, okay. And one thing led to another. Sometimes it was, a terrible moment leading into another moment that eventually became a good moment. But you have to have the courage for that.
Although I don't think that the years you spent before, doing what you wanted, I don't think they were wasted exactly.
No.
Because, it's still training on how to become a person. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all the yoga gave me the courage.
Yeah.
The ability to stay in the unknown, to walk into it.
Yeah, just like, all the years I spent writing columns, the things like word choice, diction, pace, things like that. These are things that I now apply to the writing of fiction, but I learned them from constantly meeting a deadline. So
there's no way around it.
Yeah, it's like if I had quit 20 years ago to start writing novels, I don't think it would be as easy as it has been for me.
You wouldn't have the fiber.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You need that fiber to have the traction.
Yes.
You need to be able to feel the deadline, the anxiety of the deadline.
Yeah, it's like, it's like us going to the Shaolin temple and, it's like in Kill Bill. Well, okay, we're going to bury you in a box and, you hit the box until the wood breaks. So,
Yeah, no. But this is life, no? And this is, our lives are now very much intertwined, also with the cats and the animals. In my case, it gives me purpose.
Yes.
It's my second win. I call it a second win. And people think I'm fanatical about it. They always say, oh, slow down, take a break, self-care. I was like, sorry, I don't belong to that category.
yes, and also, you've been waiting for this. So why pause now?
Yeah, and the thing is like, oh, don't you want to travel? No, I'll be worried in the travel. If I get a message, come, like your message. If I say,
Yeah.
how am I what? I'm gonna fly over here? Hello. Not at the moment. I'm savoring it. I'm tired, but I'm a happy, tired, cranky person. It's okay, right?
Yeah.
So you discover yourself through others, through your practice,
Yeah.
and through your animals.
Yes.
Oh, it's. I'd like you to say, if you have anything to say, what would you like to say to the public, to your public, to your unknown public, your public that will be from this? What do you think?
Well, I'd like to say something about the cats.
Please.
Because, as I said, writing is a very solitary activity and you're inside your own head all the time.
All the time.
On the other hand, having cats with me takes me out of my own head because I have to think about their needs, I have to play with them or, because indoor cats need to play. That's something we a lot of us forget. I have to think of, their food supply, replenishing their litter, all their day-to-day needs. So it helps me. Of course, it's for their benefit, but it helps me. It keeps me grounded and it keeps me from becoming too self-involved.
This is true. In 2015, I got sick, right? And but I continued teaching, and because I had to focus on the students, I forgot about my own self, and that was a break from me.
Yeah.
And when I rescue or when I'm caring for other animals, I also get a break from myself.
Yes. Oh, and I also have to add that I'm not much of a people person. As in, one-on-one, I'm fine. But, in groups of people, I kind of shut down.
Same.
Because cats, even if they look judgmental, I know that they are not judging me because, their brains are just a different way, So I feel that I'm freer with them. I have less apprehension about displaying my emotions because we were raised by boomers who believe that you don't cry in public,
Absolutely,
you don't lose your temper in public,
Yeah.
etc., etc. But cats kind of freed me up to do that. As in, I can be mushy.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to? With regards to cats, with regards to yourself, how do you see us moving forward?
Well, cats, especially, walking and looking after cats, it's my mental health practice. So it's hand in hand with everything else I do. So I write, and to support the writing, I take care of cats and I walk. So it's all symbiotic.
What would you tell the homeowners associations, the buildings, the whatevers about their need to erase cats from their premises?
I don't know. Because, I would like to say, just leave them alone. They're not hurting you. It's nothing personal. As in, if they poop in your doorway, it's not because they hate your fashion sense. But I don't know if that really gets through to them. So I can only hope that if there are places where people view cats as pests, there are also other people in that place who see cats as, companions who need to be taken care of, just like, other people.
It's funny you bring that up because there really is that lack of respect for both sides.
Yeah.
And that's why when cat people are saying, "Oh, this," da, da, da," I said, "Okay, can we manage where you feed them? Can we manage? Can you put litter boxes? Can you just to?" And then on the other side, it's like, can you also think that God created them and that they have they have a right to be around, and
Yeah.
spaying and neuter will already help you.
I'm trying to learn that because my knee-jerk reaction, as in the past, would be, it's like, oh, this apartment building has it now charges its tenants who actually feed cats. The tenants have to pay up, and so my reaction is, I put a curse on that building.
Yeah.
Yes. Nobody go there. Nobody eat there, etc., etc. But
No, it's so funny because I have a friend who's very much into dogs, and she always said, "Makarma sila, malason sila," and she cries, and I'm like, manage
I have a
yourself.
friend like that too.
It's
Yeah.
like manage yourself. Let's think around this. Let's be creative. Let's figure out a way. And it's just like medicine. So many people died to be able for us to have the surgeries that we have
Yes.
now, and so it takes time and patience. And we have this stray-free, rabies-free Philippines 2035. We won't be able to make 2030 because it takes 5 years for a country to be rabies-free, to be declared rabies-free. So it's like it's still a long ways away, but we need to all work together, and I don't know, we'll see, right?
Yes, and ideally, each barangay should be able to vaccinate all the animals against rabies for free, right? Because I know a lot of people who look after cats and dogs would like to have their pets, vaccinated, but the prices can be prohibitive.
Yes.
So there should be,
There's certain
free T and VR.
Yeah, exactly. And we're hopefully putting that into the Senate. So Senator Cynthia Villar already found us the funding. So it's 210 million pesos a year. But this is entire Philippines. It includes how to slaughter livestock and stuff like that, animal welfare. But it's 210 million pesos a year for 10 years.
And how many animals is that?
I don't know. I don't know. So we gotta, the thing about LGUs is they're very autonomous. So this is something we need to work with and hopefully develop their taste for it. I always give the free kapon as an incentive to make them see, hey, my constituents like this.
And do you know if prisons already have the program where inmates can take care of
Oh, they have it.
dogs and cats?
Yeah.
Excellent,
So like now in Bilibid, that's why there's I think total is about 600 cats and dogs. Much less
Good.
dogs. Maximum security is what we're doing now. And maximum security has 400 plus, but there are 19,000 inmates in there. So we started that and we've been returning. I'll show you the videos. It's something we're not allowed into the maximum, just at the door. So we bring the cages, they put the cats in, we give them the nets, but mostly they're all friendly anyway because they belong to the inmates. And they have collars, and it's written down, so the name of the inmate, cat, description, name of the inmate, cat. So we really bring them back. And they've accepted it because my next step is that it's a pilot project. So if it works, then it rolls off into all the other facilities in the Philippines. And I'm going to try to propose that penal colonies, there are a few in Palawan and in Mindoro, become natural sanctuaries.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you
time.
for having me. Let's do this again sometime.
Yes, please. So, thank you so much. You can check her out on Google her, Jessica Zafra, the one and
Instagram,
only Instagram.
Jessica Zafra's cats,
Yes.
which my cats maintain.
Okay. See you later. Maraming salamat mga kabiyaya. That was great. Hello mga kabiyaya. We are here to discuss anything under veterinary services, rescues, adoptions, TNVR, animal welfare, responsible pet ownerships. Anything and everything as well in between. Kung nais po ninyong magiging isang biyaya sa aming mga alagang aso't pusa, please comment below or message our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you. Maraming salamat.